This is the Barry Richards Show. WBSM On Demand.
Without further ado,
WBSM presents The Barry Richards Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, The Barry Richards Show.
I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. I keep forgetting things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. I keep forgetting.
And welcome back to the program. It appears as though it's stopped raining, at least for the moment anyway, and that's good news. Got a chance to run out with the dog or maybe run the trash out to the trash can, but I think we'll have some more rain before all is said and done. Michael McDonald right there. Can't forget, we're not in love anymore, right? And that goes back to probably, I'm going to guess here, about 85, maybe 83, 84, 85, somewhere in there. All right. In any event, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We've got somebody that's been hanging on the line for a long time, so I'm going to get that call in, and then we'll pick it up where we left off. So you're next on WBSM. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, Barry, how are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. I'm not going to bring up the rainbow flag issue too much. I agree with that veteran guy about it should be as high as the American flag.
Yeah.
I think I actually like the old-timers mentality on the gays and the modern liberal weirdos philosophy. I don't know. It was just the way I was brought up. But I think what we should be really worried about is getting the economy going.
Yep.
And getting these prices down. I don't think the prices are ever going to go down, but it's ridiculous going to the supermarket and the prices are skyrocketing. The economy's bad. There's not a lot of jobs out there. And this has been going on for years. This has been going on before Biden. This was going on before Trump. This was going on at least since Slick Willie left office. That was the last
Do you
time
know
the
what? Do you know what the
economy-
rate of inflation was when Joe Biden took office?
What was it? I know it was lower.
1.4%. Do you know what the unemployment rate was before Biden took office? It was right around 1 or 2%. And we had full employment. The economy was booming. Gas prices were $1.89 a gallon.
Yeah, then the COVID hit. That ridiculous thing.
So things were going pretty well. I think we were seeing things. We had jobs coming back to the United States from overseas because Trump was going after them and imposing tariffs and so on and so forth. So I think things were going pretty good. Things definitely hit a wall. Now, I think COVID was certainly a big part of that.
That's the most ridiculous thing I ever see. You're going to stay in your house. You're going to wear paper masks. You're still going to get it even with those stupid paper masks on your face or sitting in your house. That was the most ridiculous.
It was all about control. It was all about politicians controlling you.
Exactly. That's what I felt like. I was controlled.
Yeah, it was about them controlling you and controlling your movements, and they saw how far they can go with it. I mean, you know, we had Mayor John Mitchell telling people they couldn't go to church on Easter Sunday. He was going to have police, patrolling the churches, and this happened all across the country. People were actually arrested for going to outdoor masses.
Yep.
You know, I'm with you there. I mean, we destroyed the economy that we had. I think we can get it back. I mean, I don't see any reason why we can't get it back.
If these politicians, regardless if you're a lot of Republicans out here, but regardless if you're a Republican, Democrat, whatever, if they keep acting like little kindergartners, excuse me.
But that's not going to change. You've got the two-party system, and that's not going to change. We've got to work outside of the parties.
Yeah, we got to do something. The parties used to work together.
Yeah. But that's not. I don't think that's going to change. And at least not for a while. Because you've got a situation in the country right now where one of the parties went totally off the wheel, off the track here, that is, supporting socialism, trying to bring socialism into the country. Now, certainly you got some right wingers out there that are off the tracks too. But the average American person just simply wants to get up in the morning, drop their kids off to school, know they're not going to get molested by a drag queen, go to work, make a living, come home at night, take their kids to the ballpark, maybe go out to dinner, do some shopping or whatever, go to a movie that they can actually take their family to, be able to afford it, go to a ball game they can afford with their family. That's all people want. Other than that, they want to be left alone. And unfortunately, we're living in a society now where people cannot be left alone, and they're starting to push back.
And everything's I'm gay, so you rule the world now because you're gay. Okay. That's crazy. I mean, that's just, I don't know. As I told you, I think I said it last week, this is a Twilight Zone episode.
No, it absolutely is. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for holding on, too. I appreciate that. 508-9960-500. People just want to be left alone. People are less concerned about Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive. Most people don't care about that. They just want to know that they can afford to go to the supermarket and be able to maybe get a thing of ice cream for their kids to have after dinner, or a bag of chips, or, whatever. Joe Biden talking about the chips with no chips in them anymore. People want to be able to afford the things they're used to being able to afford. They don't care about the peripheral stuff and the politicians and all. They just want life to be simple, or as simple as can be. Life is never simple. And they want the politicians out of it. And they don't like what's happening in their schools. Again, if you're just tuning in, just had a story out of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, says that parents in Maryland cannot opt their kids out, kindergarten through fifth grade, cannot opt their kids out of LGBTQ courses in school. They can't opt. They don't have the right to. The kids have to go to these courses, according to the courts. When the hell did the courts start deciding what our kids are going to learn in school? Who gave the courts that authority to do that? I don't recall that being written in the Constitution anywhere. Maybe if Don's listening, he can straighten me out of that. But 508-9960-500. Thanks for waiting. You're next to WBSM.
Hey, how's it going, Barry? Good afternoon.
Good. How are you?
Hey, said nothing about being able to opt your kids out of school. Just get them out of school and homeschool them. That's basically the only solution you have, because if you try to go in front of any type of school council and you bring up your concerns, you're just going to be labeled domestic terrorist.
So. But here's the rub. I agree with you. You don't like what's going on in the school system, get your kids out of school. But that's one more thing that we're giving up on. And let me explain what I mean. We pay property taxes every year to pay for our schools. Now, our kids are guaranteed by law to get a good quality education every year, 180 days of instruction and so on and so forth. So if we are saying, okay, well, we don't like what you're teaching our kids. We don't like the fact that the Fourth U.S. District Court of Appeals says that you're allowed to teach our kids LGBTQ courses while they're in kindergarten in first grade. So we're going to take our kids out. We're not going to they're not going to say to us, okay, well, you don't have to pay taxes for the school anymore. You're still going to pay for that school. And you're going to pay to homeschool your kids as well. So we need to fight to make our public school system worthy of our tax dollars, don't you think?
Yeah, but they put the things in place to, like, the fear tactics to not make you want to fight, like so on and so forth, like the labels. Hey, here's another great one, and I want to bring up why I called. Like, I just came into this conversation, but what about the new thing that if you try to talk to somebody, like, about your religion and just be like, hey, I know you're having a difficult time, so on and so forth. How about you go to my church or so on? And the new, now they're labeling you a religious extremist because you believe in God.
Yeah.
So, like, the labels, it's the same thing that they did with Putin. Remember, they called him crazy. They said the same thing with Trump, that he was, going crazy, so on and so forth, like having mental issues. It's all of these labels, because once you have that label, they can just throw you aside and not take your.
Well, there are
your
special
opinion into
interest
account.
groups in this country. Some are financed by bigger groups than them or whatever that are pushing an agenda. I mentioned in the first hour now that we found out that the Communist Party of China is funding the campus sit-ins that are going on all around the country now. They're playing a part in organizing and funding that kind of stuff. So there are people with agendas in this country. So there is an atheist movement in this country too, and they are enjoying more support now than they ever have. Atheism is cool, and it's because people with money, people with backing, people with political connections and all of that are out there attacking those with religious beliefs. Look, the best way to take down a powerful nation is to destroy it from within. So you get rid of their heroes, you get rid of their beliefs, you get rid of their religion, you get rid of their culture, you get rid of everything, you destroy all of that. What have they got left? There's nothing left. So there are things in this country that we need to fight for, and we need to fight to preserve them. I think education is one of them. Our religious freedom is another. And you can't let somebody put you in a box because you have religious beliefs. But they're going to try to do it.
Real quick, the reason why I called, I just jumped in my car from a meeting. My health insurance for this that's going to be renewed in the new fiscal year is going to jump for my company 10%.
10%.
10.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
And we're just we're just kind of all baffled at the fact that we just have to eat this, and it's either you accept it or you go find health insurance elsewhere. But yet then the questions get asked, what about a cost of living increase, so on and so forth. What do you think the cost of the cost of living increase is going to be?
Yeah, if you're lucky to get one, you'll maybe get 2%, 3%.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what we're dealing with at every angle. It's health insurance, it's groceries, it's this, it's that. It's getting out of control. And again, it goes back to you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but the whole idea behind they're literally making life unmanageable, so you have to rely on the government for everything.
Well,
and
that's not being a conspiracy theorist. I mean, there is evidence to support that at every turn. The government is trying, they've been doing this since 1964. The government is trying to make you dependent on it for everything. And that's exactly true. And we need to resist that. We have the ability to defeat that. We have to accept that that's the truth, and we have to go out and we have to defeat it. But we have to be active. We have to elect the right people. We have to get involved. And, it starts right in your community, from dog catcher all the way up. And people have to be paying attention and have to be willing to fight for something.
Yeah, correct. But it goes back to the same thing. You start to fight, you create a movement, then they find a way to label you something or something.
Well, they can label me anything they want. I mean, I used to see the emails that I get during my show and afterwards, the people that think I'm a racist, I'm a xenophobe, I'm a this. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks about me. I know what's right. I know the way that I was born and raised. I know the way my parents taught me, and I believe in my country. I believe in being a patriot. I think that's a good thing. I believe in your practice of religion. I believe in, I believe in all of that stuff. And if somebody thinks that I'm this, that, or the other thing for believing that, well, that's their right. They can believe that if they want, but that doesn't change my view. And I'm not going to let people influence my views that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Isn't those, like what you just stated is the ideals of America, right?
Yeah.
Freedom of religion. So that just goes to show you how far off track we are. That these are the basic fundamentals of what this country was founded upon. Yet you ask people, and it's like they're clueless. and we're losing that.
Well,
And
because
that's
they've never
what
been taught it, and shame on parents for not teaching it. I mean, look, when we were kids, we got up on Memorial Day and we learned about Memorial Day. We knew what it was. We went to the parade and we carried a flag and we saluted as little kids as the soldiers went by. And, on 4th of July, we celebrated. We didn't just have a cookout. We celebrated what 4th of July was. We understood it. We learned in school who our founders were and how America was an exceptional nation and how proud we are to be an American and how fortunate we are to be brought up here, one nation under God, and family was important and all of that. We don't teach that to our kids anymore. We don't teach any of that. And the schools aren't doing it anymore. The schools are teaching how to be a drag queen. So if you're not teaching your kids how to love America and why America's worthy, the schools aren't going to do that for you. In fact, they're going to do something completely opposite that. They're going to tell your kids how horrible America is. So this is why we're at where we are.
Yeah, clearly you had the First Lady a few years back saying for the first time she was proud to be an American. Those are the people we look up to. So when you're hearing those messages from the people who are supposed to be setting the example and the tone, it makes you really question, what you're... And that's what's going on. It's just...
But we need to get involved in the schools. We need to know what our kids are learning. See, for too many years, too many parents just dropped their kids off to school, went off to work, came back, picked them up, or whatever. Nobody talked at the dinner table anymore. What did you learn in school today? Show me your homework. Show me your lessons. Let me see your books. And, for too many years, our kids were being taught all of this pablum, and we just, we never paid attention. Now people are paying attention. It's not too late, but we've got to push back, and more people need to pay attention to what's going on. Thank you, my friend. I got to hold you right there. I got to hit the next one. You're up next to WBSM. Good afternoon.
Yes, Barry. Not education, not climate, not guns, not electric vehicles are privileged in the Constitution for our public servants to act upon.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, guns are guaranteed in the Constitution. You're told you can own a gun, and you should own a gun.
Doubly protected.
Yeah,
doubly protected.
You should own a gun. That's what they tell us, right?
No, but the educators at Maryland, they are enforcing an unconstitutional law in an unconstitutional manner.
Where does the court get the right to tell a parent they can't opt their kindergarten child out of a LGBTQ lesson in Maryland? Where does the court have a right to do that?
The court is an ass. Remember, there's just human beings in there. They're just judges. Law is not rocket science, Barry. Believe me. I've met dozens of attorneys. I've sat in courts. I've seen judges in action, and I weep. I weep for the people of this nation at the level of ignorance and incompetence of our attorneys, DAs, and judges. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, it is pathetic, and what is pathetic is that we allow this to continue to happen. And for the U.S. District Court to tell a parent that you cannot take your kid out of a classroom while stories about transgenders and gays are being read in class when they're in first grade, I think that is a violation, not even necessarily on religious grounds, but on the grounds that the parents have a right to determine what their children are being taught in school.
Correct.
But now if you speak out, you're a domestic terrorist.
Right. Well, try talking out. You know how many times I've had people say, "Oh, a smart ass, hey Don, you think you know the law?" And I look at them and I says, "Yes, I do. And if you can't cite it for me and produce it in writing, then you sure as hell don't know the law." Well, guess who wins most of the time? No, I mean, it's incredible. It's like the people in Norfolk. They've now had hundreds of illegal aliens dumped upon them. Well, wasn't I talking about unfunded mandates the other day?
Yeah.
Barry, if the government can order you to spend your money on things you have no choice over, you do not own your money. You own nothing because they can bankrupt. Imagine being told you have to put in a special insulation in your house and you need solar cells on your roof. And need a special electric car. What if you can't afford all that? Well, we're sorry then, Barry. If you can't afford all that, we're going to have to confiscate your home and put somebody in there who can. Well, whoa, where's that written in the Constitution? Doesn't matter. This is what people cannot see. The people of Norfolk are complaining about what's happening to them, and they're not challenging We're
But
the
two
state-
things there, Donna. We've addressed one of these before. Not everybody has the resources to go to court, and that is unfortunate.
Exactly.
You don't have the resources to do that. So the court system is open to those who are wealthy enough to afford to play in that rule. And the other thing is people don't have the knowledge. I mean, how many people are learning about the Constitution in school today?
Zero, nada. But look at the Massachusetts Constitution. The articles are right. I forget which article it is, but it states that in Massachusetts, citizens shall get justice freely.
Yeah.
Freely, yes. So the word freely is in there. So in other words, you should be able to go to court. Now, why do I have to pay attorney fees? Why do I have to pay fees to get into court? I thought that was already paid. You know the court over in Dedham where they're having the Karen Reed trial?
Yeah.
Do you know who has to pay to park there? The citizens. The people who work there get all the free parking spots.
Yeah.
I've been to that court a dozen times. It's a joke. I have to pay to park to go to court to have my rights protected? Yes. But the people who work there don't have to pay. They get all the free ones. That is correct.
Thank you, Don. I got to hold you right there. I got to hit a break, and I'm late for it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. 508-996-0500. We're back right after this. Your calls are important, and Sammy was quite talented, too. I miss Sammy. 2 pieces. 508-996-0500. You're up next in WBSM. Thanks for hanging on.
Good afternoon, Barry.
Hi.
Hey. So, I've been thinking about something lately, and I think I got it figured out a little bit. Probably a penetrating glimpse into it, totally obvious for a lot of people. But you mentioned over and over again the silent majority. And I think that what's going on today is that we have a very distinct and large majority of people that think and act the same as you and I do and the people that call the show do. I think that's by and large the vast majority of people in the United States, but yet we're being led to believe that we're not that great of a majority, that actually a great majority is these people with blue and green hair. Because they get the media outlets are the one that give them all the coverage. Their issues get all the coverage. Their needs get all the coverage. And they portray us, the vast majority of people in the United States, as extremists or fringe elements, when actually we are the center and the heart of the United States. I think people need to really just, sit back a minute and just be solid on what they believe about and what they think about and make sure that they get registered to vote.
Yeah, and I think, you look at, all you got to do is look. I saw the same trends in 2016. You just take a look at what happened in New Jersey over the weekend. 100,000 people. Imagine that. 100,000 people turned out to see a Trump rally.
Yeah. That's
what does that say to you? There's a lot of people
Alarming.
out there that are not talking to the pollsters, right? Or when the pollsters call them, they're either lying to them or just hanging up or whatever. Because the press is saying, well, it's a close race. It's real tight. I don't believe for a minute it's close. I think, generally in any election, you got 40% go one way, 40% the other way, automatically. And then what happens to that other 20% in the middle generally will decide an election. So I think we're probably at that point right now, but I think the majority, the other 20% are leaning toward Trump and away from Biden.
How many of those pollsters out there, Barry, do you think are really legitimately objective, genuinely objective? How many of those pollsters out there do you believe?
Well, here's the thing. If the polls are indicating, and I don't know what the polls are indicating, I have no idea what the polls are showing, but if the polls are indicating that it's a landslide, Trump's running away with the thing, and TV was all over that, nobody would watch TV. You've got to project this as a close race, right? It's close. Oh, the state's going to say, oop, today it's going out. Because that keeps the drama going and keeps people tuned in, and the networks get to sell soap that way. Just like election night. You're going to hear all day long on election day how tight this thing is. It's going to come down to this state. It's going to come down to this precinct. And in New Orleans, Louisiana is going to decide the whole race. And people stay glued to that. And the reality is something much different than that. And we saw that happen in 2006. I remember sitting in this studio till 4 o'clock in the morning in 2016.
I remember you calling that one.
Yeah.
You called it just like it turned out. I remember that.
And Phil was here and Brian was here, and nobody believed it was going to happen. But I had the same kind of feeling that the people were lying low, that they'd had enough, and they didn't want crooked Hillary, and they wanted change. And these were the people that were not talking to the pollsters. They were out in the fields. They were, in the factories. They were, doing whatever it is they do. And they just kept quiet, and they went out to vote. The last election.
I think these people ought to get together and start a movement and get themselves laws enacted so that you're talking about this issue with the school department down there in Maryland or something like that.
Yeah.
They ought to get together and make a movement so they can get laws passed. But like, if the schools get too far out of whack, they say, hey, we're out of here. Give us a tax break for the money that we put into the school each year. We find somewhere else to go.
Well, the thing that we have here is that while we have a silent majority, we have a very vocal minority. And the other side turns people out to hey, hey, ho, ho, and take over campuses and burn cities and riot and everything else. Meanwhile, the silent majority works for a living. And the silent majority, for the most part, is not interested in debating. They know what they know, and they know what affects their life, and they're going to vote. In the last presidential election, a lot of people stayed home. A lot of people were upset by what happened with COVID, and they were believing what they were hearing in the press about Trump. They just stayed home. They didn't vote. A lot of people stayed home, and that's what caused Trump to lose the election. Plus, other things that went on too.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to sit home this time.
That's good.
I think people are going to turn out and vote. And I think you're going to see record numbers of people vote. I think there's going to be some shocking results in this election coming up. I really do. I hope so. Anyway.
If it does, Barry, I'm going to be going around. I'm going to be driving around town, just looking for the people with big sad looks on their faces.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. 508-996-0500. You are next on WBSM. Good afternoon.
Barry, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
No, I'm doing great. Hey, I'm a little worried about my friend Paul. He went through his son's graduation at UMass. I think I haven't heard from him. I tried to text him, I can't get a hold of him. I think he wore his MAGA hat.
Uh-oh. Yeah, he said he was going to call in from there.
Yeah, I know. Last time I heard from him, he said it was pouring rain. I was up in Boston. It's been nasty out here, but so I figured I'd throw that out there. Yeah, I don't know if he's listening, but I'm sure he's busy. But anyway, so Barry, I'm called about about all this LGBTQ and all this stuff. Why don't you? I mean, you can't keep track, like you said. So why don't you just call it the alphabet soup community, because that's what it's becoming. You know what I mean? So
it gets bigger every time I look at it. They add new letters.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I say I call it the alphabet soup community. So it's what it is. But I mean, I have no problem with people doing their drag queen stuff. Like you said, but that's for adults. When I see, I go on Facebook and I see people out there, and you see videos of kids there. It's like, no, you crossed the line. Like they just keep pushing the envelope. Like I said, I think you said you have a couple family members or somebody in your family that is gay. That's fine, whatever. They wanted equal rights, right? They wanted to be able to get married. Now,
yeah, but this isn't about gay people, and that's where the confusion comes in here, because these folks that are radical, the transgender movement and all of this kind of stuff, they've hijacked the gay and lesbian movement, because we have a lot of gay and lesbian people in our society, and we have for years and years and years, that are very productive people that don't bother anybody. They go to work, and they are angry that their movement has been hijacked by this radical, and they don't want to be affiliated or connected with these new people. So it isn't about being gay or being lesbian. It's about being radical and forcing an agenda on children.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. That's why, I have a problem with that when they bringing this stuff into the schools. What does that have? I mean, and like you said, what did you say? It was Peru? Was it Peru that passed something that, like you're bringing in the kids into the situation? You're bringing these drag queens into the school. What's that got to do with education? Barry, I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with this. Right? I mean, my daughter's grown. She's 26 years old. She's got her own job, up in Boston and everything else. I am so glad, because there would probably be a problem with me going to the school, and I said, there'll be a problem. I have to pull my kid out of here. It's going to be a problem. I couldn't deal with it. I feel bad for these people, the parents today that have to deal with this stuff. and like other callers said, you'll be labeled a domestic terrorist because you are. No, we're not doing that. That's just their weak-minded and insecurities that you have another opinion than theirs, and they just want to keep pushing at us. And you know what? Like you said, you got to keep pushing back.
Well, too many people say, "Hey, look, I don't want to make a big deal out of this. I don't want to make a spectacle of myself, or I don't want to be." But there are some things that are worth fighting for, right? Just ask the guys that went after any of these wars in this country, or fought the civil rights movement, or the women's suffrage movement. There are things in this world and in this country that are worth fighting for, and you have to do that. And whether people look at you the wrong way or yell at you or flip you the birdie. The future of our children and the education system in this country is too important to just let it go. And we need to fight for that. And
well, that's why with January 6th, Barry, that's why people, like you say, like afraid to say anything, this and that, oh, you're homophobic, you're this and that, you're Islamophobic, people. So they put that out there with January 6th. And people are afraid to be like, hey, I don't want to end up like them. And, even though I'm not, I wasn't at the Capitol, but if somewhere's in life I'm going to offend somebody, or I'm going to be somewhere's at a protest or a rally, you know what I mean? There was a big rally that my friend Paul talked about. I knew about it up in Boston. I had to work, I would have loved to go there. You know what? Everybody's afraid, I'm going to get arrested. Because we go to work. We're not over here to go start in trouble, you know what I mean? And not worry about it because there's no consequences for these people that caused the mayhem and all this tyranny that's going on with fires and shooting at cops and all kinds of craziness, Barry, that everybody else is scared, and they have no repercussions because they know when they go to court, they're going to be right back out. So
absolutely.
It's a sad world we're in right now, Barry.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. I got to hold you right there. I got to get a break in. 508-996-0500. Let me do the break. We'll come right back for your calls next. Good. How are you?
Not bad. Barry, when I listen to like some of your callers and whatnot about the LGBTQ and all, gay and lesbians, and I totally am on board with you when it comes to having that in your schools. I'm totally against it. But we do have gay teachers.
Yes.
We do have lesbian teachers, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So what's the difference? They're in schools.
Well, yeah, but that's a totally different concept than having books brought into kindergarten through fifth grade, teaching small kids about the alternative sexual lifestyles. I mean, first of all, kids at that age should not be taught about any sexual lifestyles in school. That's not what they're there for. They'll learn to, count, learn their colors, write, read, all those kind of things. But this is not an issue about gay or lesbian. This is an issue about people with a political agenda that is trying to mainstream it and trying to force it on people. The people that I know that are gay and lesbian are very resentful of what's going on. And they're not out there trying to convert people to being gay or lesbian.
No, Barry, you're right about a certain amount of that. But, when you go to a gay rally or a parade or the March on Washington, they're not all drag queens. The majority of them are just gay and lesbian.
Yeah, but you're the one that's painting everybody with a brush. I'm not.
I'm not painting them.
Yes, you are. You're painting everybody with the same brush here. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm talking about. Look, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't give a damn if you want to go to a gay pride rally or if you want to go to a march on Washington and you want to dress up like Marilyn Monroe or you want to go in a three-piece suit. That's up to you. I don't care what you do in your life. If you are gay and you are living a good life and whatever, that fine, knock yourself out. It doesn't affect me in the least. All I'm saying here is you do not belong teaching sexuality to children in our public school system. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you 100%.
All right, so then we don't have any. There's no debate then. We agree.
No. There was some point. It was not just one point that I was trying to make. What I was telling you was that I think sometimes that you try to separate the LGBTQ from gay and lesbian. Yes, there is a lot of gay and lesbian people that are not involved with the movement of what you're talking about.
And that's why I'm trying to separate it. The transgenders do not represent gay people.
Let me finish, please. All right? But isn't that in all movements? I mean, you can see, I'll give you an example, Black Lives Matter. Right? It's not all black people that are involved with Black Lives Matter, correct?
Black Lives Matter is a socialist political organization that has
That's
nothing
not
to
what I
do.
said.
That has nothing. You asked me a question. Now you're going to talk over me. Black
go ahead.
Lives Matter is a socialist political movement like Antifa and like the groups that are out there in the college campuses now. Has nothing to do with Black lives. Okay, it has to do with revolutionaries. So that's a little bit different. Gay people and lesbian people have existed on this planet since the planet was formed. 99.9% of the gay and lesbian people on this planet want to go about their lives as anybody else. Okay,
Why did
there
you say
are
that,
other
Barry?
people who are trying to push an agenda on people, like the cross-dressers and the transgender folks and this, that, and the other thing. And in doing so, they're saying, if you oppose me dressing up as a woman and going into your kid's classroom, then you hate gay people. And that is absolutely absurd. And the gay people I know resent that. And they're saying, look, we're part of society, and you're dragging us and making us part of your cause. Leave us out of this.
Barry, I understand what you're saying. I totally do. But you have to look at both sides of. There is a lot of gay and lesbian people that are in the camp and support these people.
Sure, I understand that.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because it's the truth.
There are a lot of gay and lesbian people that support Trump, too. There are a lot of gay and lesbian
Right.
people that don't like Trump. There are a lot of gay and lesbian people that like all kinds of things. I don't care. That's their business. If you're gay or
Right.
lesbian and you support the transgender movement, that's fine. Don't bring transgenders to my kid's kindergarten class. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree with you 100%. I'm not against what you're saying there. I started off the conversation telling you that because I didn't want you to get off course and thinking that that's what I was trying to
All
go
right,
with.
but so then there's no issue. I mean, I'm not saying, look, a lot of folks that are cross-dressers, that are drag queens are gay, okay? A lot of them are.
Right.
That's their business. I don't care if they are. Just don't ply your trade in the schools. Leave the kids alone. Leave the kids out of it. And don't drag the gay people into this either. And don't say that if you don't like what we're doing, then you are trying to criminalize being gay, because that is a lie. And a lot of folks that I know that are gay and lesbian live in it, you wouldn't even know they're gay and lesbian because they don't go out and advertise it. They don't feel as though they need to. They don't want to. It's none of your business. And it's not that they're not proud of being who they are. They are. But that's not how they identify themselves. See, the problem today is because so many people are caught up in the politicalization of all of this, we teach kids go out there and identify yourself as Joe the gay guy instead of just Joe the guy who happens to be gay. Because what your sexuality is, no, do you go out and say, well, I'm the guy that likes to dress up like a Viking with my wife in the no, you don't identify your sexual preferences or needs when you go out into the community. So why should anybody else? First of all, most of us don't give a damn. We don't care. We barely have enough to do dealing with our own lives to care about your life in that regard. And so you don't have to tell us about it. Just go about your life and do what you want. Just leave the kids alone. That's all. Leave the kids alone. That's all I'm asking for. Quick break. We're coming right back in just a couple of moments. But, let me tell you, if you've been holding off on your home improvement project for a while, worried about perhaps the process and the cost, Kudo Construction has been making home improvements stress-free for families like yours for more than 30 years now. They're offering $1,000 off your roofing, siding, or window replacements for a limited time only. Kudo Construction Company doesn't usually offer specials like this, so take advantage of it today. Get the work that you need done without breaking the bank with a savings of $1,000 off, making the project that you've been putting off so much more affordable. There's no better time than right now to take advantage of this opportunity. Call Kudo Construction today, 508-509-4414 for your free estimates. Restrictions do apply, so go to the website, kudoconstruction.com. They've got your family covered. Quick break. We'll come right back after this. To children and making them participate in that in school. Yeah, that's absolutely teaching. Yeah, that's
All
part.
right. Well, so let me ask you a question. If you think to all the stories that, we grew up, you're a little older than me, but that we grew up reading, there was heterosexuality was implicit in those stories, right? Everything was kings and queens and moms and dads and boyfriends and girlfriends, and the mama bear, papa bear, and all the way down. Now, is that not in some way sort of downloading, at least even at a subliminal level, a heterosexual normativity?
No, it's not. Heterosexuality, now this is not politically correct, but it is absolutely common sense, is the normal, accepted way of life in the world, okay? 99% of people in the world are heterosexual, and there are some who are not heterosexual. That's not teaching or forcing an agenda or a lifestyle on kids to talk about a king and a queen. That is the most absurd, crazy theory that I have ever heard in my life. I can't even believe you said that.
Let me unpack it. If you're going to tell me that if I read a story to whatever grade, right? Like whatever.
Look, if my kid, I got to rush for time here. If my kid is sitting there in your kindergarten class, okay, or in first grade class, and you break out these books and you say, look, you know, everything that you live at home, everything that you've been taught by your parents, everything that you've come to understand in life, well, you know what? There are alternatives to that, okay? And look, at Manny can sleep with Bobby if he wants to, and so on and so forth. First of all, that's none of your damn business. It makes you a pervert, and it makes you a giant jerk, and you don't have a right to do that to my kids. You don't have a right to do that. That's alternative lifestyles. That's up to parents to teach that. Okay, that's up to the parents' discretion, not up to the Maryland School Board, not up to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. I don't even know why a grown man would call in my program and defend this in the first place with children. I don't know whether you're a parent or not or whatever, but I suspect that most men would knock the teeth out of the face of somebody who would do something like that to their children, okay, or try to talk to their children that way. I think it's absolutely absurd to even suggest that by reading a story about kings and queens or traditional marriage that somehow or another you are programming or brainwashing a child into the heterosexual lifestyle. That is crazy. I got to hold you there, my friend. I don't even have desire to speak to you anymore about that. That is just totally, woo! All right, I got to get out of here. What a note to wrap it up on. We'll pick it up tomorrow. We've got ABC News coming up next, followed by WBSM News and the ABC 6 Weather Center forecast.